Inga. Inga and I, we go long back. And, Inga served as a councillor in the city of Moorabbin many years ago, where I used to work in the region of Moorabbin. And you were a member for Bentley many years ago. I worked along with you. And also in the last 4 years as a cabinet secretary, as a parliamentary secretary for education. We had privilege to work along with you. And your support to my community as well as FIAV during my tenure was amazing. Thank you, Inga. On a Sunday morning, I know you've got a big family behind. You've got a former mayor in your household, and he's also keeping you busy. And a number of your family members are actively involved in the community affairs in Victoria. Thank you for joining us. And can you also convey our regards to our patron, Matthew Guy, for his support to the FIAV. And my good friend, my local member, Neil Angus, thank you for seeing you along with us this morning. I know you got your commitment, and thank you for making this done. At this stage, can I ask Honourable Robin Scott to deliver his message? At the end, Thomas will collect the cheque. Thank you.
The Auditor General might be interested if that was the means to deliver in Victoria, and might have something to say about it. But I'll certainly take on board, and we'll deal with the proper process, the request for funding. But as I said, our friend the Auditor might have some concerns if that's how I handed out money. But it's an honour to be here because for many years the Federation of Community Associations of Victoria has been playing such a critical role in being the peak leadership body. And I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues, Inga and Neil. And in multicultural affairs, I always talk about bipartisanship, but it means something more than just a few words. It's a commitment not to denigrate the wonderful thing that's been built between governments over many years in Victoria. There's been Labor and Liberal governments who've built and worked to generate the sort of society where people are judged by the content of their character, not their place of birth, colour of skin, or the religion that they have. And it's been something that's been worked on for many years, and we often say less than nice things about each other, but in politics I'd say both Neil and Inga have shown a commitment to multicultural affairs, and it's something that we value deeply in Victoria because it's so important not to make cheap shots and not to turn it into a political football, particularly in times that we live in now. And I know the Indian community often suffers, in fact, when there's issues around, particularly the Sikh community suffers unfairly during such times. So I'd like to put on the record my appreciation. It's fabulous to be here for this sports day because I'm a bit of a cricket tragic, so I don't know who won the cricket game, but I hope the Aussies did. It's so important in Victoria that the groups like the FIAV and others just brings that fabulous Indian community together to contribute to the society. The Indian community is so important for Victoria and so important for the future of Victoria. Such a large number of Indians are coming currently to build on those fabulous traditions of those who have already been here before. And the Indian community is a very sophisticated community in how it engages both in the political process and but also in the broader society. So many intellectuals, so many academics, so many people who are making such a distinguished contribution, so many small business people and people taking leadership roles in the community. And it's important that next those steps go further, and we have, I know across the partisan political divide, it's one thing that brings us together. It's the love of our multicultural society and a deep acknowledgement of the Indian community's hard work. You couldn't get a harder working group of people in the Indian community. So many people who come with very little, often in fact borrowing money to pay for university fees and the like, working so hard to contribute to themselves, their families, but also to the broader society. So on behalf of the Victorian Government, so I know on behalf of Victorians of all goodwill, I'd like to congratulate the FIAV for today's function, but also to congratulate all of those who worked to build. And I have to say before I leave, isn't it fabulous to see so many women involved in the governance of the organisation? What a fabulous thing, and so many young faces, keen young faces who I'm sure will be a new generation coming through working on those, work that's been done by so many of the older generation who did so much. So it's great to see everyone here, and on behalf of the Victorian Government, I'd like to congratulate them, and we'll certainly take on board and work through those issues.
If you can look at the team, before 2014, we were only 7 or 11 of us were working in the committee. Now we managed to increase the strength, and we brought a minister, first time ever, the female vice president into FIAV. And Sudesh is not new to the community because she runs the largest department. It's a commercial, you don't need to pay me. It's the largest Indian clothing store in Dandenong, which was established during George Lekaka's time. We worked very closely to create that little India precinct. And again, I'll convey this.
I can say we're certainly committed to the precinct.
Absolutely, absolutely. And George has given us so much strength and support during that time. Now currently there are 36 shops. They need support, so that's another one which you can take it on less. And also, if you look at Minister, we have Amrish Deshmukh, Jitendra Kumar, and Surya Prakash Soni. And this younger generation has given so much in the last few years. They're settled in this country, they all have young families. But still, they managed to come out of their family shell and contributing their time for the benefit of the community in Victoria, not only the Indian community. So, on your behalf, let me say thank you to the team. Now, let me ask Inga. Inga, I know your commitment to my community over the last few years. I met Inga when she was a councillor in Moorabbin, which is before 92. So it goes more than 22 years of friendship, Inga. Your contribution and support during my time as a president of FIAV, I know that you have continued to support us while you're in opposition, and your advice and your contribution made us stronger and stronger day by day. Inga, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Vasant, and ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I was ready for sport. And all I got to do was to punch a few volleyballs. But as they say, if there's no such thing as a free lunch, now Minister's listening to that, no doubt, but I am delighted to be able to join you here. It is one of our most active, most best organised, notwithstanding the diversity and the number of associations and the differences in religion and amongst other things, it is actually one of the best organised communities, and a large part of that has got to be given credit to your leaders, your community leaders, of which obviously Vasant Srinivasan has been a key player for a long, long period of time. And so please, and also to actually get the Guernsey of being a lead advisor nationally on Indian affairs is an immense honour and a huge opportunity to influence government policy. So on behalf of the Victorian Opposition, Vasant, thank you for continuing to do what you do, and congratulations on your appointment. And congratulations on forming the Federal Association, which I think is much needed. I know how hard you worked in order to achieve it, and so well done. It's a wonderful opportunity for the Indian community and all of the diversity that it represents to actually come together on the important issues. So please give Vasant a big round of applause. I would like to acknowledge the Minister, Robert Scott, who is here, without his sports shoes, but I'll forgive him. And of course my very good friend Neil Angus. He has had to leave because he does have an Anzac Day march and he had to go home to pick up the wreath, so he has asked me to extend his very profuse apologies. But he has been a very good friend of the Indian community, serving along with me as over a number of years as co-chairs of, in my role as co-chair of the Indian Parliamentary Friendship Group. Neil has served as secretary to those committees, and at many of the Indian events I have seen him in attendance and getting into the spirit of those occasions, so he's asked me to pass on his apologies. I'd also like to acknowledge Thomas, who has taken over the leadership in the FIAV, and congratulate him on filling, I won't say big shoes, but the Vasant shoes. And I know how closely you work together, and as well as, of course, Dr. Dinesh Kharkev, who I had the pleasure of meeting at the opening of the Indian Museum, and hearing about his own private collection, which I understand his wife is very pleased to have removed from the family home. But what an amazing contribution and legacy that he's left and continues to sort of nurture for the Indian community. So as you've heard, the Liberal Party's had a very strong and long-standing relationship with the Indian community, even before Ted Baillieu. But Ted Baillieu was a very important symbol of entering into dialogue with the Indian community on issues that are of concern at the time. This close working relationship with the Indian community then continued also with Matthew Guy, who is a firm leader of the opposition, who was Minister for Multicultural Affairs until last year, and who is a very, very strong supporter of multiculturalism, but in particular of the Indian community. And he's asked me to relay his greetings to you. I spoke to him on the telephone actually just as I was driving in. And he has sent his greetings and his best wishes to the competitors and his regards to the community leaders. And you represent some 28 community organisations coming together today, in approximately being represented by about 16, I understand, community organisations in the sporting competitions of cricket, volleyball and cocoa. I'm not sure exactly what cocoa is. It sounds more like cocktail drinking competition. I'm happy to join that. I'm happy to join. But it has been a great delight to work with the Indian community for a very long period of time. In the southeastern metropolitan region, the heart of multiculturalism, in my contention, not only do we have a large number of very active Indian community members, but many of those important events as well. But also, as the Shadow Minister for Multicultural Affairs, I'm delighted to continue working with you. The record stands. We've supported the FIAV offices, which I think do need to continue, because you need to have an opportunity to come together, not only as an overarching organisation, but also the individual organisations that make it up. The Little India Precinct, and of course the Indian Museum are just some of those, as well as the Bollywood Film Festival, and I know there are some controversies surrounding that at the moment, but no doubt with goodwill and good intent that those matters will be resolved. So it is about governments supporting the communities who are putting their heart and soul into making sure that their culture, their tradition is being passed on to future generations, that the current needs of the Indian community are being, decision makers are aware of and being met, but also that the new generations, those who are born here in particular, continue to understand the culture and feel a sense of belonging, because it is so easy, as a person who migrated here as a 10-year-old, it is so easy to become distant from the country of your birth and also the culture into which you were born. So I think one of the strengths of this organisation and events such as this is the fact that there is renewal. So it's not just the old boys and girls running, but you've got a whole new generation of new leaders coming on board as well. And I'd like to pay a tribute to those who've organised today. And I haven't got my glasses on, but it's Amarish, Jitendra and Surya. So congratulations to all of you. May you have many more sporting events, and I look forward to joining those, along with the Minister, with his sports shoes on. And perhaps we can form a bipartisan team and a challenge of parliamentarians versus the FIAV team. The gauntlet and say that bring on next year. Congratulations, best wishes, and I'm delighted to join you today.
Thank you, Anga. Minister, on behalf of the Indian community and the FIAV, please convey our congratulations in regards to the Premier of Victoria. And he was with us, I think, 3 weeks before the election, along with the Premier of Victoria at the time, Dr. Dennis Napthine, as well as our patron, Mr. Honourable Matthew Guy. So your support and your contribution to my community always valued quite high. So thank you so much. Can I ask the Vice President of FIAV to say thank you to you with a small bouquet of flowers. Thomas, go there.
Okay.
And again, Minister, someone said to me this morning when I said to Stephen Newnan that you are coming to the function this morning.